Liberation Day will be bigger than the 4th of July, maybe even bigger than Christmas. Donald Trump just made one of his boldest claims yet, and Tucker Carlson didn't see it coming. What does Liberation Day even mean? And why is Trump saying it's the most important day in American history? Stay tuned, because this conversation takes a wild turn. It's a crisp April evening in 2025, and Tucker Carlson's studio is electric with anticipation. The former president, Donald J. Trump, strides onto the set, all brash energy and unfiltered swagger, his signature red tie catching the light as he settles into the guest chair. Carlson, ever the inquisitor, greets him with that familiar squint, a mix of skepticism and curiosity, knowing Trump's here to unveil something massive. The topic: a new national holiday Trump's been hyping on the campaign trail, Liberation Day, set for tomorrow, April 2nd, which he's now ready to define in front of millions. The audience leans in, sensing the stakes, as Carlson kicks things off with a simple question about what this day's supposed to achieve. Trump doesn't hold back. He launches into a vision of America unshackled, a day to celebrate breaking free from what he calls decades of bad trade deals, spineless leaders, and globalist agendas that have bled the country dry. His hands chop the air, his voice rising. With every word, painting a picture of factories roaring back to life, borders locked tight and citizens cheering in the streets. It's vintage Trump, bombastic and unapologetic, and the studio crowd eats it up, their applause rolling like thunder. But Carlson's not clapping. He tilts his head, brow furrowing, and the mood shifts. What's he thinking? Is he buying this or about to push back? The host dives in, his tone calm but edged, asking how Liberation Day differs from Independence Day, why America needs another holiday when the 4th already stands for freedom. Trump brushes it off, claiming the 4th's been diluted by woke nonsense and corporate picnics, while his day debuting tomorrow will be a real reckoning, a middle finger to the elites who've sold out the heartland. The crowd roars again, but Carlson's eyes narrow and he presses harder, questioning if this is just political theater, a shiny distraction from tougher issues. Trump's grin tightens, a flicker of irritation crossing his face, and the room feels it, a spark igniting. Things escalate fast. Carlson brings up Trump's recent X-posts, where he's been railing against NATO allies and past presidents for weak diplomacy, and asks if Liberation Day is tied to that fight. Trump seizes the chance, unleashing a torrent about how America's been a doormat for too long, how he'll rewrite every deal from Paris to Beijing if he gets back in power. His voice booms, the audience hanging on, but Carlson cuts in, sharp and skeptical, wondering aloud if Trump's promising more than he can deliver again. Why should anyone trust this vision? Hasn't he made big claims before? The tension spikes, the crowd splitting between cheers and murmurs as Trump leans forward, eyes locked on Carlson. He doesn't snap yet, but the fuse is lit. His posture, screaming defiance. Carlson, sensing the heat, keeps poking, asking what makes this day bigger than Christmas, a jab at Trump's hyperbole that draws a few laughs. Trump's jaw clenches, and the studio braces for impact. What's he going to say? Will he double down or dodge? And how far can Carlson push before this explodes into something no one saw coming? The studio hums with restless energy as Donald Trump's jaw tightens, his eyes boring into Tucker Carlson after that Christmas jab. It's April 1st, 2025, the eve of Liberation Day, and the air feels thick, charged with the weight of what's unfolding. Trump doesn't dodge, doesn't flinch. He leans into the mic, his voice dropping low and forceful, explaining that this holiday isn't about tinsel or turkey, it's about reclaiming America's spine, something he says past leaders let atrophy. The crowd erupts, hands pounding seats, their fervor feeding his fire. But Carlson sits still, arms crossed, his skepticism a quiet counterpoint to the noise. The host doesn't let it slide. He digs in, voice steady but cutting, asking Trump to name one concrete win Liberation Day will deliver, something beyond the rhetoric. It's a challenge, a dare to back up the bombast, and the audience quiets, curious. Trump fires back, claiming it'll mark the start of tearing up every trade deal that's gutted American jobs, starting with China, a promise he says he'll enforce with tariffs so steep They'll beg to come back to the table. His hands slash the air, painting a picture of factories reborn, and the room splits, half cheering, half murmuring doubt. Carlson pounces on the vagueness. He brings up Trump's first term, pointing out how tariffs sparked retaliation, how farmers took hits while China kept rolling. His tone sharpens, questioning if this is just more bluster, a holiday built on promises that sound good but crumble under scrutiny. The crowd shifts, some nodding with Carlson, others booing his doubt, and Trump's face hardens, a flush creeping up his neck. He doesn't like being second-guessed, not here, not now, and the tension coils tighter, a spring ready to snap. Undeterred, Carlson pivots, tossing out a curveball about world leaders. He asks if Liberation Day is Trump's way of thumbing his nose at allies too, like NATO partners. He's trashed online for not paying their share. Trump seizes it, unleashing a tirade about freeloaders riding America's coattails, naming names. Merkel, Macron leaders, he says, groveled when he stared them down. His voice rises, brimming with relish as he recounts strong-arming them into line, and the audience roars, swept up in the bravado. But Carlson cuts through, dryly asking if burning bridges is the liberation America needs. That's when the first crack shows. Trump's eyes flash, his grin replaced by a scowl, and he leans closer, accusing Carlson of missing the point, of siding with the same weaklings who've kneecapped the country. The crowd gasps, the insult landing hard, and Carlson's brow lifts, a flicker of surprise breaking his calm. He fires back, saying he's just asking what viewers want to know, not picking sides, but Trump's not hearing it. He doubles down, voice booming, claiming Liberation Day will bury the doubters, the bureaucrats, the spineless, and prove he's the only one who can fix it. The room explodes, cheers clashing with jeers, as Carlson tries to steer things back, his composure fraying. Trump's on a roll, unstoppable, his vision for tomorrow's holiday morphing into a manifesto, a middle finger to everyone who's ever crossed him. Carlson's questions aren't slowing him now, they're fuel, and the host realizes it, his grip on the interview slipping. The audience feels the shift, the power tilting, and wonders how far Trump will take this. Can Carlson regain control, or is he about to get steamrolled? The studio crackles with raw intensity as Donald Trump barrels forward, his vision for Liberation Day, set to launch tomorrow, April 2nd, 2025, swelling into a full-on crusade. Tucker Carlson's last attempt to rein him in, questioning the wisdom of burning bridges with allies, has only stoked Trump's fire. The former president's scowl deepens, his voice a gravelly roar as he accuses Carlson of playing devil's advocate for the same globalists who've chained America to bad deals. The crowd splits louder, some chanting Trump's name, others clapping for Carlson's grit, and the air feels like it could ignite. Carlson adjusts his stance, leaning back slightly, his squint tightening as he tries to wrestle the narrative back. He pivots away from trade and allies, zeroing in on something juicier, Trump's digs at past presidents. He brings up a recent X post where Trump called Obama and Bush disasters who'd be forgotten once Liberation Day rewrites history. His tone is dry, almost taunting, as he asks if Trump really thinks one holiday can erase their legacies, or if this is just personal score settling. The audience hushes, sensing blood, waiting for Trump's move. Trump doesn't hesitate. He launches into a blistering takedown, claiming Obama sold out to Iran and Bush bumbled into endless wars, while he, Trump, brought peace through strength, no new conflicts on his watch. His hands jab the air, his voice rising with every name dropped, and he paints Liberation Day as the moment America buries their failures, a holiday for winners, not losers. The crowd erupts, some leaping to their feet, others shaking heads, but Trump's feeding off it, his energy relentless, almost manic. Carlson sees an opening and strikes. He cuts in, voice sharp, asking if Trump's so obsessed with the past, why should anyone trust him with the future? It's a gut punch, questioning Trump's motives, implying this holiday's more ego than strategy. The room stills, the weight of it sinking in, and Trump's eyes narrow, his flush deepening. He leans forward, slow and deliberate, and fires, back saying the future's his to shape because he's the only one who's ever delivered, not talked. The crowd roars again, but Carlson doesn't flinch, pressing harder, asking what delivered means when half the country still sees him as a divider. That's when Trump's tone shifts, a venomous edge creeping in. He accuses Carlson of parroting the left's playbook, of doubting him like the fake news hacks he spent years crushing. The insult's personal, a betrayal in Trump's mind, and the audience gasps, some cheering, others stunned. Carlson's jaw tightens, his calm cracking as he retorts that he's no liberal, just a guy asking questions Trump should be able to answer. But Trump's not listening, he's rolling, claiming Liberation Day will silence the skeptics, prove he's the leader America craves, past and present be damned. The exchange spirals, each man digging in, the crowd a chaotic chorus of loyalty and dissent. Carlson's fighting to keep this an interview, not a rally, but Trump's turning it into his stage, every jab at the host a brick in his wall of defiance. The host's skepticism, once his strength, now feels like quicksand, pulling him under. Trump's momentum. The audience senses the tide turning, the power shifting, and wonders if Carlson can claw back or if Trump's about to bury him in his own studio. The studio pulses with a feverish edge as Donald Trump's momentum surges, his attack on Tucker Carlson's skepticism transforming the interview into a one-man warpath. It's April 1st, 2025, hours before Liberation Day dawns, and Trump's turned Carlson's stage into his pulpit, preaching a future where his holiday drowns out the doubters. The crowd's a mess of noise, some roaring for Trump, others clinging to Carlson's fraying lifeline. But the host's grip is slipping, his questions bouncing off Trump's armor like pebbles off a tank. Carlson doubles down, his voice cutting, through the din, desperate to shift the tide. He pivots to Trump's future plans, the real meat behind Liberation Day, asking if this holiday signals a 2028 run, a bid to reclaim the White House and make it official. His tone's barbed, implying Trump's using tomorrow's debut as a campaign stunt, and the audience leans in, hungry for the reveal. Trump grins, a predator's gleam, and says he's not announcing anything yet, but if America begs him back, he'll finish what he started. No weaklings allowed. The room explodes, fans on their feet, and Carlson's eyes flash, sensing a chance to strike. The host jumps, accusing Trump of dodging, of hyping a holiday without a plan, just hot air to keep his base hooked. It's a bold move, calling out the bluff, and some in the crowd boo, others clap, the divide stark. Trump's grin fades, replaced by a steely glare, and he fires back saying, plans are for bureaucrats, he's a doer, not a talker, and Liberation Day will prove it when the world sees America roar. His voice booms, hands slashing, and he lists off wins, border walls, tax cuts, things he claims no one else could pull off. The crowd's split widens, but his energy's magnetic, pulling more to his side. Carlson doesn't back off. He leans forward, voice low and biting, asking if Trump's so sure of himself, why he's sweating an interviewer's questions instead of celebrating tomorrow's big day. It's a taunt, personal, meant to rattle, and the audience holds its breath waiting for the snap. Trump's eyes lock on Carlson, a storm brewing, and he unleashes, accusing the host of turning soft, of forgetting who built him up when the left wanted him cancelled. The room gasps, the insult raw, a gut punch to Carlson's credibility, and the host's face flushes, his calm shattering. Trump keeps going, voice rising, saying he doesn't need to prove anything to a guy who sits behind a desk while I fight the real battles. It's brutal, a public shredding, and the crowd erupts, some cheering Trump's audacity, others stunned by the turn. Carlson tries to counter, stammering that he's fought plenty, just not with Trump's ego, but it's weak, drowned by the noise. Trump sits back smug as the host fumbles, his authority crumbling under the weight of the attack. The studio feels like a coliseum, Trump the gladiator, Carlson the wounded foe, and the audience can't look away. The powers flipped, decisively, Trump's defiance now a weapon that's turned Carlson's probing into a liability, the host's scrambling, his questions once sharp now dulled by Trump's relentless push. Liberation Day looms larger, its shadow cast not just over tomorrow, but over this moment, where Trump's rewriting the rules of the fight. Can Carlson salvage anything, or is he just collateral in Trump's march to dominance? The studio's a cauldron of chaos as Donald Trump's verbal assault leaves Tucker Carlson reeling. his once steady command of the interview reduced to rubble. It's April 1st, 2025, the night before Liberation Day, and Trump's turned the tables. His claim of fighting real battles, while Carlson plays pundit ringing in the air like a victory bell. The crowd's a wildfire, some chanting Trump's name, others shouting for Carlson to hit back. But the host's flush deepens, his hands gripping the desk as he fights to regain footing. The lights feel hotter, the stakes sharper, and every eye is locked on the unraveling drama. Carlson rallies, his voice hoarse but determined, refusing to let Trump run away with the night. He pivots hard, asking if Liberation Day is just a vanity project, a shiny bauble to stroke Trump's ego while the country's still tangled in debt and division. It's a desperate swing, aiming to paint Trump as selfish, and the audience quiets. Some nodding, others bristling, waiting for the counterpunch. Trump's eyes glint, his posture unshaken, and he fires back saying the debt's from cowards who wouldn't fight, divisions from leaders who bent the knee, and tomorrow's holiday will kickstart the fix, with or without Carlson's approval. The crowd roars, Trump's defiance a drug they can't resist, and Carlson's jaw tightens, his gamble backfiring. He tries again, voice rising, accusing Trump of rewriting history to dodge his own messes, like the 2020 election fallout that still haunts him. It's a low blow, personal, meant to draw blood, and the room tenses, sensing the line crossed. Trump's face hardens, a rare silence stretching before he leans in, slow and menacing, and says, "You want to talk messes, Tucker? Look at your ratings before I showed up." The crowd gasps, then erupts, the insult a sledgehammer to Carlson's pride, and the host's eyes widen, stunned. Trump doesn't stop. He surges forward, voice a controlled roar, claiming he's saved more jobs, crushed more enemies, and lifted more spirits than Carlson could dream of from his fancy chair. It's a demolition, each word stripping the host's armor, and the audience splits louder, some cheering Trump's ruthlessness, others reeling from the brutality. Carlson stammers, trying to defend his record, saying he's been in the trenches, too, but it's drowned out, Trump's momentum an avalanche burying the retort. The studio shakes with noise, the power unmistakably his. Carlson's floundering, his questions now pleas for relevance, but Trump's in full command, turning Liberation Day into a monument to his will. He paints tomorrow as the dawn of a new America, one where he's the architect, not the criticized, and the crowd feeds off it, their energy a tide lifting him higher. Carlson's defiance, once his weapon, is now his weakness, exposed by Trump's unrelenting strike. The host's hands tremble slightly, his authority a ghost while Trump sits back, triumphant, the king reclaiming his court. Is there any way back for Carlson, or has Trump sealed this shut? The studio's a battlefield, strewn with the wreckage of Tucker Carlson's faltering stand, as Donald Trump reigns supreme. It's April 1st, 2025, the eve of Liberation Day, and Trump's latest blow, mocking Carlson's ratings while exalting his own legacy, has the crowd in a frenzy, their cheers and jeers clashing like thunder. Carlson's desk feels like a sinking ship, his hand steadying it as he fights to claw back from the abyss. The lights burn brighter, the air thicker, and Trump sits there, smug and immovable, his victory all but carved in stone. Carlson summons. One last surge, his voice raw, eyes blazing with a mix of defiance and desperation. He leans forward, accusing Trump of turning Liberation Day into a circus, a self-aggrandizing stunt that'll leave America no better off tomorrow than it is tonight. It's a final plea to the audience, a bid to frame Trump as all flash, no substance and some clap, loyal to the host's grit, hoping he can turn the tide. Trump's smirk widens, unfazed, and he counters, saying circuses don't build empires, action does, and tomorrow's holiday will unleash a wave of wins the doubters can't stop. The crowd roars, his confidence infectious, and Carlson's gambit crumbles. The host tries to pivot, grasping at straws, asking if Trump's so sure of this wave, why he's wasting breath on a nobody like him instead of prepping for April. 2. It's a weak jab, self-deprecating but barbed, and the audience murmurs, sensing the endgame. Trump's eyes lock on Carlson, a predator's gaze, and he unleashes the kill shot, voice low and vicious. He says he's here because Carlson begged for him, because the show's nothing without his pull, and tomorrow's triumph will prove. Who's the real nobody? The room explodes, gasps and cheers colliding as Carlson's face flushes, the insult a public gutting he can't dodge. Trump rises from his chair, unscripted, towering over the set as he paints Liberation Day as his gift to a nation he's dragged from the brink, a holiday bigger than any before because he made it so. His voice booms, hands slashing, and the crowd swept up, some on their feet, others stunned silent, as he buries Carlson's last stand under a torrent of bravado. The host slumps, his retort, a mumbled, "Good luck with that," lost in the noise, his defeat etched in the slump of his shoulders. Trump turns to the audience, arms wide, soaking in their fervor, a conqueror claiming his due. The cameras catch it all. Carlson's desk a footnote to Trump's stage. The interview, no longer a duel but a coronation. The crowd chants his name as the lights dim, the band kicking in to close the show, and Carlson shuffles his notes, a shell of the inquisitor he started as. Trump strides off, head high, leaving no doubt. Liberation Day is his. This night is his, and Carlson's just the latest to fall. The internet ignites, clips racing across X, the triumph absolute, no threads left dangling. Tomorrow's holiday looms, but tonight, Trump's already won, and the world knows it.